Okay, welcome back to part two of the procedural generation section of this stream, which is also episode 3 of the Arcology roguelike development that I'm doing. Just a quick overview where we're currently at. If you have a look at the Trello view over here, you can see the stuff that is under the to-do list, the busy list, and obviously the done list. Nothing done yet because we're still playing around quite a lot with some prototyping, but we're trying to get the procedural generation algorithm, get something working with that so that we can have something nice to play around with as a testing basis. So if we just go into that, we are currently trying to prototype something so we can get to some kind of final level design. Now, we're using the template approach over here, and last time we built some basic templates and had them displayed. What we want to do now is have a look at how can we display multiple templates, multiple room templates, so that we can easily define these beforehand, and then how we can easily actually choose the right templates. That's what we want to do and easily display them. We're quite close to getting that done, so that should be quite easy to do. What we then want to do is to make these different rooms be generated in a way that makes sense next to each other, in a sense in how they fit together, so that you would have maybe some kind of corridors, big open spaces, entrances next to normal rooms, to make it so that the player can actually logically navigate between them, so that you don't have any issues in terms of when we are actually playing the game, that you can actually go through the way that you want to go through. So we want to see if we can get this template approach working properly. I've switched over to normal Visual Studio. Visual Studio Code was giving me some issues, but either one of these editors are fine depending on what you are trying to do. So we had created 2 classes. The one was a procedural generator, which is just a normal C# class, and this class actually does all our procedural generation for us. It loads some values from a template. It then actually generates some kind of initial structure based on the number of rooms that we want to have, and it actually also randomly picks a template from all the templates that we have and then generates it. At the moment, we've only got one template, and at the moment we are not displaying all of our entire level, but only a template at a time. We just have this display template method, which is obviously just a test method. So what we really want to do is to actually create our proper display method, which would work very similarly to the display template method, but instead of displaying one specific room template, it would display our entire randomly generated map. So our logic is very similar. Instead of having our actual loop going just through the size of the template, we want to go through the width and the height of our entire level. And by height here we mean in terms of the 2D actual template itself. We are going to be picking a prefab based on the actual value that we get from our procedural generator. So in our procedural generator, we have a level array, and that will actually give us the right values. So this display method should display the entire level for us. So I'm just going to add that to our start method. And then what we've also done in our procedural generator, we've created this generating initial structure, which we can probably just rename to generate initial structure. What we just want to do is, so we've created a new procedural generator with a fixed width and height. We've loaded at least one template in. We want to call our generate initial structure method with a number of rooms. Let's just say 8 for interest sake at the moment. So we're going to create 8 actual rooms. They're all going to be of our room 1 prefab that we have, and they should be randomly placed within the width and height that we've created. So we just need to pop back to Unity, have a look at our level class. We haven't defined a width and height over here yet. Let's make that 40 by 40, and that should allow us to actually generate a level full of random rooms. Which need to fix this error over here. When we generate, when we construct a new procedural generator class, we also need to actually initialize our new level as well. So is a new tile type, 2-dimensional array based on our width and height. Okay, so what was just happening, we were trying to actually access something in our array which was giving us some problems. Let's try that again. Okay, index at the bounds of the array. So at some point we are accessing position. Oh, my logic has gone a little bit funny over here. Let's just might be just our max template size that's causing some issues. Display method should be fine. It is probably our generating method that's causing us some grief over here. if our level doesn't exactly start at 0, 0, that's fine. Our player doesn't need to know that, so long we can create something that is realistic looking and feeling to the player inside that space that we've created. Okay. I think might actually be our empty tile that is going to be coming in useful over here, because as we are creating these levels, these rooms, we've got a massive 40 by 40 or whatever the size is that we've defined area that needs to be filled with values. If we then try and display it, if there's no value in our actual level, then our game doesn't know what to display. So what we just need to do is to make sure in our procedural generation, when we generate the initial structure, we actually fill the entire array with 0 values initially. So I'm just going to steal this nested for loop over here, paste that over there, and very simply we are just going to as you will see, fill our entire array with zeros when we start. Just to make sure that we are actually doing this correctly. We can just use tiletype.mt to do that. Now at the moment, tiletype.mt is that horrible empty tile, but obviously we can fix this so that it is an actual empty tile. Because of the way that we are generating this, we can maybe not use the empty tile over here but rather use the wall tile. If you think about this in the context that it's massive thick walls on the outer edges of the structure, this arcology, this building, and everything that's not open space and rooms are actually just these massive walls. Let's see if that works. And next, out of bounds of the array. It's a bit of a beginner mistake over there, but we weren't actually initializing the size of the array properly. There we go, that looks a lot better. Just in case you missed that, what I had done here is I was only setting the width and the height after I was actually using them to set the size of my array. So if you look at our scene from the top, we get a whole bunch of walls. Which is a fine start, but we need to make sure that we are actually updating our level to display the different templates that we've created. Okay, so this is the code that we wrote last time. We hadn't actually tested this properly, so this is probably where our errors are coming in. So let's just walk through the logic of what we are trying to do over here. We start by wanting filling everything with our wall type, which is perfect. That works perfectly for us. After we've done that, we want to create a number of rooms equal to a value that we pass through. In this case, it will be 8 rooms, usually based on the templates that have been loaded using the load template, which you know works from our previous display template method. What we then do is we randomly define an X and a Y position somewhere within, we can probably change this back to somewhere within the range of 0 and the maximum width of our level minus the maximum template size, so we don't overrun the edge of the map. We then create a new template which is based on one of the random room templates, and then we loop through that template and we copy each position in that template into this new value, this new area of our level. So a couple of things where we can possibly be going wrong. Our start X and Z could be giving us problems, or our template could not be actually copying over correctly. So let's add some debugging over here. Okay, take out any of the other debugging that we have. Pretty sure everything else is working fine for now. Let's just see if we can randomly generate 8 different starting positions and if they make sense. Okay, so we're not even getting to that piece of code. Which is interesting. much is test? Sorry. We were getting them, I just wasn't looking in the right place. We were getting a whole bunch of random numbers. That's excellent. Let's see if we can get any kind of length from our temporary template that we're using to generate all these different rooms in our level. We are getting those, so that is also great. And let's see what is actually being copied over from the template each time. Okay. It seems like our get length of our second dimension is not working. Stop and try again. We seem to not be getting into this for loop, which is obviously a problem for us, because that is where we actually get the values that we need from the template. Just double check my debugging and make sure that everything is correct. Okay, it's created one template for us now. Let us try something. Okay, so I think we are getting into the fun, one of the most fun bits with game coding, and I say fun in inverted commas, that we have an issue that our processing cannot all be done within one frame. So just to make sure this actually works, I'm going to create a key for us, a keyboard interaction. We'll use R, which stands for redraw or something like that, where we just call the display method again. My suspicion is that the display method is happening before the initial structure has properly been generated, because there's quite a lot of generation that actually needs to occur, all to happen in that single frame. My suspicion seems incorrect. Okay. Still feels very much to me as if we're having trouble getting everything done in time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to use a coroutine for this, which is not really what I wanted to do, but okay. This is probably not going to work very well. Let's just fix one more thing. Our display is happening too soon, so I'm going to let our game run for a little while, call the refresh and reset button. It's still only generating one room for us. Okay. Having somebody actually watch what I'm doing is not helping. Just joking. It's nice to know that at least somebody's interested in what I'm doing. So we're running into a problem over here where I should be generating a whole bunch of rooms. I just don't seem to be able to generate them properly. Let us just try and methodically work through this process to make sure that we don't have anything else that is going wrong. So what I've just done is I'm just going to generate one type of template, which is the only type of template we should have. Always generating at the same place. So our display is working fine, which is great. Even though I've got it keyed to an actual input. We are loading the templates fine and then generating the initial structure. Let's see what happens if we try and load less rooms. We still don't get the correct rooms and we only get a small amount of them. Oh, that's gotten even worse. Coroutines. So the idea behind a coroutine is that it goes off and does some work and while we wait. So what we would ideally like to do is to be able to display the progress of this coroutine. Which is something I've forgotten how to do exactly. Good old Unity answers. Yeah, thank you, Megan. This is should be a lot easier to do than what I'm doing over here. What we can do just to test our is add a debug.log call to our level generator. Yikes. Something is very funny with our for loop. Oh no, it's not actually. It's doing exactly what we expect it to do, which is always worrying. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going through all the code. Generating all the values, but then for some reason not displaying them properly. Okay, so we should be getting a log of all the different tiles within our room templates in between each room that we are generating. It generates one room, which we should see. Yep. And instead of generating 8 rooms. It's generated one room for us. Between room 3. The rooms generate on top of each other, which is fine, but it's just not generating enough rooms. This time it hasn't generated any rooms. Let's up the size a bit because they are generating on top of each other. Generating one room at least. Parts of one. This feels like a bad idea. Let's have a look at the actual. There we go. That's doing something different. This is even worse. No, no. This is absolutely horrible. Enumerator, that is what I did make it. Yes, okay, that's fine. So this is not fun. Um, Obviously, something is going very, very wrong with my structure generation, where it is going through this loop but never actually printing out the tile that I wanted to, or creating the tile that I wanted to create. Let's try this option. See if we can slow down the processing. Getting horribly stuck on coroutines. It's at this point where you need to start rethinking the entire approach. Wait, before I break everything. Horribly badly. This method over here is also one that is quite likely to give us some issues. If we are loading templates in from a file, that might take quite a while before everything is loaded properly. Reading from a file is a lot more computationally expensive than actually just calculating some values. I'll try one more thing, and then hopefully. Nope. Something has gone horribly wrong. I'm gonna have to take a bit of a break and see if I can figure this out. This is one of the fun things that happens with game coding, because everything has to happen within a specific frame. We always need to make sure that we have enough time to do everything that we need to do. So I'm going to stop streaming for now, figure this out, and hopefully show you guys how to do that tomorrow. Cool. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching me stare at the screen, not getting anything to work. But hopefully tomorrow will go a little bit better. Thank you for watching anyway, and enjoy.